to our little ball of mud. I'm Sot Balsa. So glad to have you here with us. Keep watching. Keep telling your friends about this because it's becoming a happening. And today is like one of our most significant moments because we have somebody from Juneteenth who's in charge of how many states?
I take care of the Midwest states. So
Midwest, the Midwest, and Juneteenth is, if you don't know what it is yet, by the end of this interview, you're gonna be so inspired and turned on, hopefully. And I want to introduce to you Lee.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
You came all the way from Minnesota, my hometown.
You know, yeah, I know.
I was born there.
I love it.
Did you know that? No, I didn't.
So now, when did you leave Minnesota? In
1948.
1948.
Wow. This place was
I tell you, it's
dirt and groves.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity just to be here to speak about Juneteenth and some of the things that I'm involved with overall. Because, as you said, this little ball of mud is where we live, and if you don't take care of where you live, then it just doesn't become a right place.
How did this concept get started? Because it's new. I mean,
well,
to us. Folks.
To the majority of the people.
To the majority of the folks.
Yeah. But Juneteenth is a celebration of the end of slavery here in America. Yeah. It was 2.5 years after Emancipation Proclamation of a lot of the slaves in the southern states, not just Texas, but a lot of the southern states, period, that held on to their slaves. And that's why exactly it's called Juneteenth, because a lot of people, their celebration of their freedom came after they were between the 10th of June all the way through to the 19th. So they just kind of combined it, it became Juneteenth.
Right.
Because like I said, within that time frame, a lot of the southern states held on to their slaves. Yeah. And Texas was one of the remaining last places for the slaves to actually know that they were free.
So this becoming a national holiday.
Yes.
Is no small thing, man.
It took almost 30 years of work. Within the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation, we pulled together a lot of the political pull in order to make that happen.
And were there some movers and shakers that pushed it forward that you'd like to mention?
Well, definitely. I mean, Miss Opal.
Miss Opal?
Miss Opal, 94, 90, when she started walking, I think she was 90 years old, and she was walking to draw attention to the idea of making Juneteenth a national holiday or a day of service. So she was walking around America, and Reverend Myers, who was one of the main people that brought a lot of the Juneteenth celebrations throughout the state, brought them together under one umbrella, which is the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation. And being a part of Minnesota, like that, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Those are my states that I kind of help to keep the information of Juneteenth alive, the importance of Juneteenth. And like I said before, it's not a black celebration. It is a celebration of freedom. And so if you believe in freedom, then you should be celebrating Juneteenth. Join it wherever you see a celebration. Become a part of it, because none are free until we all are free. Yeah, I listen to God.
My yoga teacher, when asked about his spiritual beliefs, questioned about them, confronted about them, he said, well, just show me where God isn't.
Truly.
And he said, I'll believe whatever you want to believe. You can show me where God isn't.
I think that's an important an important mindset.
It's the only mindset that there is, but we're so wrapped up in our monetary quest. And, you know.
And that's a sad place to be for, I mean, in my mind, it's a sad place to be because it restricts you. Yeah, and once again, when we're talking about freedom, what does freedom mean to you? Because freedom for you, for one person may be a different concept for another. But once again, none are free until we all are free, either spiritually, whatever that category falls into. Yeah, it's important to understand that freedom is something that allows you to grow.
And it covers all
spiritual
ways and
Absolutely.
beliefs, and, you know, religion is just your how you're living out your beliefs.
Yep.
You know, whether you're wearing this or wearing that or this color or that color, it's because it somehow makes your beliefs solid within you. And if you try to say, well, you have to be doing what I'm doing,
then that's probably what may work for you may not work for me. Yeah.
exactly.
Because not to mention life experiences and so forth and so on allows us to kind of gravitate to our own path. And to me, that's why what I do on the level of what I do is for as history. Yeah, I love talking about history, not only simply because I'm finding out so much more on my own level, on my own family, and how important, you know, and every contribution that, you know, that has been made just within my own family. So, you know, so having the DNA tests and doing genealogy and all that, it's so very important that each of us has a piece of that puzzle. You know, and so until everybody brings their pieces together, we will never see the whole picture. Yeah. So it's important to be able to bring all that together and just to have some understanding, as I like to say, it's right in the title, people. It is the United States. Why not act that way? Yeah, because the division does not get us anywhere. We are the United States. I think it's just simple.
So what do you have planned coming up as part of the celebrations in your area?
Well, I would say one thing to do is if you're a Facebook person, you know, go to the Juneteenth Directors and Planners page, and you'll see the Juneteenth celebrations throughout the state. Yeah, like I say, but for me in Minnesota, I pretty much do a lot of the historical reenactments, and this year we're focusing on the United States color troops. Because when they talk about, you know, if you notice, if you Google Juneteenth, everyone brings up General Granger, but they don't bring up the almost 6,000 U.S. color troops that were marching throughout
the Second World War?
Yes. So all of that is once again, as I tell people, Juneteenth gives you that opportunity to ask the right questions. Yeah. Because once you ask the right questions, hopefully you'll be able to get the right answer. Yeah. So with what we have going on in Minnesota, I'm working on a project that I call Made with Love, and it's taking the concept of quilts. Yeah, quilts were used either within the community. I mean, my grandmother, and some of the other women in the church.
Patchwork.
Bingo. You know, we get together and make a quilt. All of that is so important. Yeah. And to be able to, and like I said, it's called Made in Love, and what I want to do is bring people together and say, hey, if you lost someone to gun violence, bring in an item or two that belong to that person, and they'll make them a comfort quilt. Because once again, the healing needs to start somewhere. And why not do something that kind of wraps people in a little bit of love and a little bit of comfort? So to me, that is one way that Juneteenth for me is my opportunity to help heal this world.
Okay.
So I do my best. Not to mention the peach cobbler contest. I want I want to make sure that there's some of the smaller Juneteenth celebrations that may not have a whole community of African American people that rent out a park or fill out a park. To just go to your local church. Have a peach cobbler contest or a red velvet cake contest, because most people don't know that in the Juneteenth celebration you're supposed to have something red, and that is actually to represent the blood of the people that have been here since the beginning, helping to make this world a better. So that red item, be it, a red velvet cake or whatever, red tea hyacinth, all of that is a part of, the Juneteenth celebration. So you can do something just small within your community, and within your church, and you're celebrating Juneteenth, and not to mention the ancestors. Like I said, I am so honored, to be on the shoulders of so many amazing people, and it's not because of who I am, it's because of the people who came before me that allowed me to actually to be the strong individual that I am, is because that's the way they brought me up.
Man, I'm so proud of you. You don't have a second to yourself, probably.
I do, and I use it wisely. But I try, and then I tell people, I said, God doesn't see anything to stand still, and I keep doing it because I like being fed. So to be happy, I try to keep myself happy.
I can't help but, as you're talking, be thinking about Victoria, who escaped from Liberia. I interviewed her.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that when I saw it.
My God, my heart just left out of my 10 years it took me. 10 years. And loss of how many children, Meg?
3.
3 kids along the route, on the path, staying in those horrible situations, trying to get here to freedom. And what you're saying is exactly what was, her motivation, and her family's motivation to come to the land of freedom.
And to me, there is one of the gentlemen that I work with has a biking program, and I've reached out to him many times to let's try and connect a bike ride that connects the path of the Underground Railroad, so that people can actually go to a place that might have that history. I mean, and not to mention, I'm sorry, my bike got stolen when I was 10, so I still have some issues.
You mean, are you talking about bicycles?
Yes, do a bicycle trail just to kind of help, once again, get people, doing something actively, and health-wise is so important, but also that history. I mean, if you just do a bike tour of the Underground Railroads within your city, then you're drawing attention to the history that has not been paid attention to a lot here in America, and it is an important part.
The Underground Railroad.
The Underground Railroad, everything, and once again, culturally speaking, as far as, let's say for instance, the Chitlin Circuit, the fact that, I don't know if you're familiar with the Chitlin Circuit, but the Chitlin Circuit.
I know what Chitlins are.
Okay. Well, the Chitlin Circuit was basically a lot of the entertainers were not allowed to entertain at some of the major hotels and so forth and so on. So they would just have their shows at these little juke joints and kind of head up. So it was called the Chitlin Circuit. So I mean, so you could do that. And you're drawing attention to a history that is rich and amazing, and so I mean, so let's say the Moulin Rouge in Las Vegas, that place should be a landmark. At one point, it was one of the first casinos that had mixed races entertaining together, but it's not there. And it should, that history, simply because it was in a certain part of town, it lost the protection of what it needed to keep that history. I mean, so it's important that for young people, if you want to get involved in something, you can get involved in history because it's your foundation. So if you can actually just take a minute, get off your phone, because I'm sorry, I should probably say it, or use your phone. Or use your phone and connect that history. You have this opportunity to bring something that, that first of all, the history within your own family. Because once you start going down the path, you will see a connection that is just, it's amazing. Yeah, and like I said, it's been amazing to me. Yeah, and I have many, 45 grandnieces and nephews.
Yeah.
So I've got a responsibility to make sure that the legacy that was handed down to me gets handed down to them. Yeah, and so forth and so on.
Do you guys hear this? What he just said? I'm talking to my sons right now. Because this show is their legacy.
And that's, it's an important thing, and thank you for the opportunity to be here to,
Oh,
just to, and as we said before, Jane was, one of the, Jane Anderson, actually you did an interview with her, and you did an interview with, her daughter, Amy, and I've known Jane, since we were in high school. So as far as I'm concerned, and my sister will tell you, we're the kind of people that, if we like you, you're stuck with us. But if we don't be surprised if we don't come around. But it's important to us that once you show us love, we want to continue to show you love as well. So
I asked Jane, I said, are you going to get a chance to come to the interview? And she said, no, he's got my car.
See, I mean, right there, how many people will give you their car for a week to make sure you get around to where you need to go? So, as far as I'm concerned, she's one of the, amazing people in my life. And I know a lot of amazing people, and I'm glad that I get the opportunity to connect with you as well, because something tells me this is not going to be our last time together.
No.
Because I'm not done yet, you're not done yet.
I got a camera.
So, and we just get started,
You just point and I'll go. So look, folks, this is for Lee. And,
wow.
love sought, and here's our date. Our little ball of mud, know why you're here, or you're just paying bills.
Wow, I love that. I mean, what do they say? I'm going to get that in a T-shirt, but I don't have to. I got one.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it immensely. Yeah.
Thank you for being on our
No,
show.
thank you for having
And
me.
we'll do it more.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I'm just like I said, this is just the beginning, because there's so much more to tell. Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity. We didn't even get around to talk about wildfire. So we'll get that story to the next one.
Well, he's talking about when I moved here in 1948, there were drinking fountains for different races. And to a small child that came from a liberated place, which was Cleveland, Ohio at that time, in 1948, it was like, how inhumane is this? I felt terrible. I felt embarrassed and sad.
But it's this idea.
As a kid.
Yes, but it's the idea that, once again, that you had a feeling. Some people don't have it.
No.
See, so you had a feeling, and that feeling actually stayed with you and still is with you. Yeah, and because of that, you do some of the things that you do, which, once again, I say thank you. So, but like I said, I know we could probably talk for another hour and a half, but,
You got stuff to do. You got family members.
still, yeah.
How many here in the city?
Well, my older sister and her family,
Okay.
and she had at least 5 children. 6 children, and then all of them have children. So trust me, roll call can take a while. Let's just put it that way. But the love and it's amazing when you also see a young face, but you also know that you've seen that face before somewhere. Yeah, I mean, because when people look at me, they may say, you look a lot like your daddy or your grandpa. I mean, and I love that fact. Yeah, that people can actually see, my ancestors in my face. And now I understand that, when I look at my grandnieces and nephews, I see the legacy in their face. And to me, that it's such a blessing in itself. Yeah.
So, lift the camera to those folks out there, by the millions, that are watching you on the cloud. Tell them how they can be in touch with you, your name, everything.
I have a Facebook page. It's called Juneteenth Speaks, you know, and you can find it as a website as well. And my name is Lee Henry Jordan. I am the Midwest and State Director for the National Juneteenth. And the National Juneteenth Observers Foundation, there's a website there as well. So if you have any questions about Juneteenth and want to know a little bit of history that I can share with you, and the importance of Juneteenth is, once again, none are free until we all are free. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're
Thank
doing.
you. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Okay. All right, folks, until the next